Hello, hello. Good morning. Good morning. It is 10:59 a.m. We're almost there. 1 minute for our weekly circle, for our weekly connection time to discuss a few topics that have to do with mind body alignment, and particular topics that have to do with mind body alignment from the perspective of everyday life. So I'm really interested in the biointelligence of the body. How does the mind relate, communicate, is in activity, in movement with the body, and vice versa. Excuse me. So, good morning, everyone. If you're here, say hi. Hey, good morning. So, for some reason, I'm not seeing who you are on my list. Je pense que c'est Manon qui est ici. Kekou, j'espère que c'est toi. Just write your name in the chat if you're here. If you want to write me a little note, it's really helpful so I know who's here. For some reason, I don't know if it's because I need to update my Facebook, but your name is not showing up. Oui, c'est Manon. Okay, great. Welcome. Bienvenue, Manon. Super. Okay. And whoever else is here, if you want to say hi in the chat, let me know that you're here. Just write your name so I know who's here. It's helpful. So I'm going to get started. It's 11 o'clock. Good morning. Thank you for being here. It's really good to be with you. I am creating these spaces. Salut, Sabi. Bonjour. Merci d'être là. Okay, great. Sabi is here. I'm creating these weekly videos, these live videos, because I want to create more circles in my life, in our lives, us together. I want us to find some time to spend time in these places where we can exchange, where we can talk about all that has to do clearly with mind body alignment. And I'm particularly focused on moving more and more into biointelligence, meaning anything and everything that has to do with mind, body, spirit, and emotional alignment. Because we're complex beings. And the reason I love this format, I'm so grateful for technology for this, is because I feel like we need more time together. We need to be in circle together. We need to communicate. We need to be able to share how we're feeling, how we're doing. These are extraordinary times, aren't they? Everybody's going through something. And it's not like everybody was not going through something before, but these are particularly interesting times. So that's the reason for these Facebook Lives. That's the reason that I want to be able to share with you what I've learned in the past 15 years as a holistic practitioner in my practice here today. I'm in my office, and also over the past 30 years as a coach in fitness, martial arts, dance, coaching for presentation skills, coaching for lifestyle. Particularly, my interest is always around mind-body alignment. Okay, hey there, welcome. Nice to see you. If you want to leave your name in the chat, just say good morning to me. Write your name because I can't see who it is. I can see you're here, but I can't see your name. So write your name if you want to say hi. I would love to know who's here joining me this morning. And thank you for being here. Okay, so if you want to sign up for my newsletter, artofalignmentacademy.com, just go ahead and sign up. You can see I do a video newsletter every week, and I talk about a different subject that has to do with mind-body alignment. Sometimes I get really into the physiology, into the functioning of the human body in relationship to how we feel, our emotions, our psychology. So there's all kinds of fun stuff that I'm going to be exploring and discovering with you. Okay, so no further ado, I want to dive into today's topic. I want to talk about what do we do when we are essentially being not necessarily attacked, but it was the topic of my newsletter last week. So I want to just kind of go back and look at that a little bit and just share with you what happened where I was on the train, and I'm in New York City, so that's really important to know. And I just got on the train, and the train was pretty packed. And I was sitting on, one area where we're sitting on the seats, and 2 seats down was this small lady who decided that, I should get up to give my place to someone else. And so she started screaming, and there was a seat between us, and she put her bag there, and then continued to scream at me to tell me to get up so that somebody else could sit down, that I should get up, I should get up, I should get up. And so what she did is, like, she literally turned to me, and she used both hands, and she dragged me. She pushed right into me, and my head went flying. There's a pole right on the side. So my head went flying to the side of the pole. It didn't hurt it very badly, but I mean, her push was enough that I just was stunned. Okay. So what happened? I'm stunned. The first thing that comes up is that freeze, like, what's going on here? My brain has to figure out what's actually going on here. My first reaction in that moment, after I came to, was to actually, I was so angry, right? I was so mad, was to actually push her back, was to kind of, right, get into action and put her in her place, right? Like, how dare she, and what is she, crazy? And she's screaming her head off. Now, remember, there's a lot of people on the train. So everybody's kind of just staring at her, not knowing what to do, and also staring at me to see what I'm going to do. And this is the key here. Because I was able to pull myself together, I did not hit her, because, to be honest with you, if I had hit her, and this all happened like in nanoseconds, right? If I retaliated back, if I had hit her, I could have really hurt her. She pushed me. Okay, that was crazy, but I wasn't hurt per se. But if I hit her back, if I retaliate, in this case, I could have really hurt her. And then, of course, I don't know what's going on with this person. I don't know. Maybe she has, now we have to think this way, right? Maybe she has a gun in her bag. Maybe she has mace. Maybe she has a pointy object. Maybe she's really going to lose herself and jump me, right? And everything starts to escalate. So Manon put a really good comment on the Creative Leadership Coaching page. And, Manon's writing to me in French. I'm responding to her in French. So French, English, Spanish is all good. I can read and respond to you, but I'm going to stay in English just for the purposes of this live. And Manon was sharing with us how this happened to her recently. And okay, Manon, thank you so much for this, because this is so important. So some guy who was about 6 feet, and you have to understand, Manon's not very tall, right? It's a petite woman. Some guy 6 feet higher or taller than her and really aggressive confronted her. And what she shares here is that she had to go and spend $100 on an osteopathic treatment to help her regulate her nervous system, right? I'm just continuing to read a little bit, right? And on top of it, and she had a PTSD, right? Post-traumatic stress disorder reaction. And so what she says here, that she also might have done well to scream back at him, even though he was much bigger than her. And in her post, Manon, in your post, she says that maybe the next time what I'll do is I'll go crazy and I'll scream back at them so that it could potentially scare the person who attacked her, right? They might think, oh my God, she's crazy, and run away. Or, just get into a little ball and scream at the top of her lungs. And here's the thing with that. I don't think it's a bad technique, actually. What I experienced, however, and being where we are today, living in the world we're living in today, the thing is, you don't know just how crazy people are, how off they are. And sometimes it's not that they're crazy. It's that these are difficult times to live in. And some usually very regular, right, we're going to say normal people, can have extraordinary reactions based on the stress that has been imposed upon them. in this day and age. Now, this was also true before, and I still think that these are extraordinary times. So when this woman hit me, when she lost it, the same thing with Humano, when this big guy, basically attacked you aggressively, right, with his words and shocked you into PTSD, and then you had to take an appointment and spend some money to go see an osteopath. This is a very real experience. This is what people experience. This is what I do all day long, by the way, is I work with people, right, in manual osteopathy and structural integration to help people process trauma out of their body when these types of situations occur. The distinction with what Manon is sharing in terms of how she might have reacted and hopefully scared the other person, which could have worked, Manon. But the other thing is, what if it didn't work? What if it would just make that person more angry and actually become physically abusive in that moment? Because people are tense. People are stressed. Maybe you feel tense and stressed. Maybe you're feeling out of alignment. Maybe you are recognizing what is going on around you and how you are becoming more stressed, more distressed in your life. So, yeah, I scream and run. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. Screaming and running is probably a better technique, to be honest, than just retaliating or screaming back at the person, because we're not sure what's going to happen, how the other person is going to react. And that's why I didn't retaliate on the train. Even though the woman was much smaller than I was, she was clearly disturbed. And I don't know what's going on in her life. And remember, I didn't have any place to run because the train was packed. So I had to really bring myself to center, and to just in that moment, I responded to her. I screamed at her. I said, hey, calm down, stop. Basically I put my hand up. And so she was surprised that I responded to her in that way. And still, I didn't know what was going on with her. Maybe she could have pulled out a knife. Maybe she could have pulled out something pointy. We just don't know. Now, to Manon's point about what happens when a situation like that occurs, well, she had to go pay and get an appointment with an osteopath to help her regulate her nervous system. That's very real. That's very important to be able to immediately, once this type of interaction happens, to really find a place for yourself to go get some help. Because if you don't, it stays in the body. And that is the point to what I want to share with you today. If you do not process your trauma, if you do not process any pain, your nervous system stays frozen. Part of it stays frozen in your body. And what happens is, after some time, it will reignite itself somewhere, somehow, in some fashion. For example, you might start to develop some serious headaches. You might start to develop a rash. You might start to develop intestinal problems. You might start suffering from lack of sleep. All kinds of things can show up in your body when we do not process this type of trauma. So what's important? What happened when I was confronted on the train? Well, of course, the next day I took care of myself. I did a lot like what Manon did. I went and I had a session so that I could calm down. I had an acupuncture session, which is really absolutely amazing, to help me calm down my nervous system and get back into alignment. Now, does it change the way that I am when I take the train? You bet it does. When something like this occurs, it changes your way that you move through life. You become more aware. You're more on the qui-vive, as we say, right? You're more on your guard. And that in itself keeps your nervous system in a heightened level of awareness. You see? So the final bottom line to this is when you find yourself in a confrontation. So my experience was one thing. Manon had her own experience. Do not minimize the impact that it has on your body, on your psyche, and on your emotional system, on your emotional health. Don't minimize any type of aggressive interaction with anyone, because it will affect how you show up, how you feel, how you move through your life. Instead, you want to look into doing something, anything that's a healing modality, I would say. Acupuncture, of course, getting an osteopathic session, getting some sort of healing session. Even sound therapy is super healing and really helps to regulate the nervous system. Go in a hot tub, hydrotherapy, a jacuzzi, anything that can help you to bring your nervous system back to its regulated state, so that you don't stay stuck into this tension in your body, so that you might be able to release. Now, you may not be able to release it, all of it at one time. However, as soon as possible, when some sort of confrontation of this kind occurs, you want to take care of it ASAP. Do not wait. Yeah, I'm looking here. Manon is saying it was intense. Days after the attack, I had my heart accelerating so much. Had some tension big time in the heart area and was so tight. Arms were aching too. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. Thank you, Manon, for sharing that. This is real. So it's not like it just disappears and you make light of it. No, your body is going through a physiological response. And she felt definitely in her heart, because that's scary when you're, when you have a big person in front of you, being very aggressive, you're afraid for your life. This is very real. So you know that you're in the fight, flight, freeze response in the sympathetic nervous system, because you're completely rattled. You're completely out of alignment. Yeah, Manon says, even if I was breathing very slowly, it was not helping. Of course, because you were still in the action, right? You were still in that space. And that can last for some days after you have an encounter of a traumatic source. It could last for a week, which is why what I'm recommending and suggesting to you is do not wait. Find someone in your life the day after, if something like this happens, the same day, the day after, as soon as possible, go get some sort of treatment. Acupuncture, the type of work I do, which is osteopathy, structural integration, any type of healing session, stillness touch session. This is all the type of work that I do, which is holistic, which helps you to regulate your nervous system. Otherwise, you keep the trauma and the stress in your body, and with time, some sort of other situation occurs or arises. And you might not think that it has anything to do with it. And it can show up 3, 6, 9, 12, 2 years later, something might show up in your body that is in relationship to the trauma that occurred in that moment. So it's really important to understand this, because if you don't have a network of practitioners around you, a coach, a practitioner, an osteopath, an acupuncturist, anyone in the holistic health. So it's not just about your body. You see what I'm saying? You want to find a network around you where people are doing mind-body alignment, healing the entire person, the entire system, not just physicality. So, for example, physical therapy is very useful, maybe not so much to help you regulate your nervous system, right? There are specific things out there that are best suited for certain needs. So any type of trauma that you go through, you need to find someone in your environment, in your space, either a coach that can help you to bring you back, but I strongly, strongly recommend finding someone that does something with the body. So healing touch is very helpful. That will help you to regulate your nervous system. Acupuncture is very helpful. It will help you to regulate your nervous system. In France, I know Sabi's here, there's sophrology. There are different types of very helpful healing modalities. So I want you today, right? If this has never happened to you, if you've never been in a confrontation, that's amazing. If nobody's ever assaulted you, if you have never been in that type of situation, that's awesome. And still, I want to encourage you to do a little bit of research and find people in your area that do realignment work, mind-body alignment work. Again, osteopathy, especially Canadian and European osteopathy, right? Very helpful. Acupuncture, healing sessions. There is obviously what I do, Heller work, structural integration, also manual osteopathy, anything that can help you to bring your nervous system, regulate your nervous system. Breath work is also super helpful. And also, yeah, exactly. The body needs to discharge 100%. Thank you. Excellent comment, right? The other thing I wanted to say is also, if you need help, if you need support in finding people in your area who are holistic healers, reach out to me, ask me. I'm happy to do some research for you and help you find the right person in your area. You know, I have a list of contacts and a network because of the work that I do. So if you want some help in finding one or two people in your environment where you can have access to someone who can help you to regulate whenever you're out of regulation, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you find someone in your area. Okay, so this is when this type of situation occurs, right? In the world, on the train, in a store, someone assaults you, attacks you. Very scary situation, which brings you off of your center. That is one scenario. Manon is saying, I think we have to be careful because with the freaking pandemic, people don't have the tools or healers to help them deal with all that stress. So they lash out. It happened twice to me in 1 year. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. Yeah, you're exactly right. So this is what I was mentioning before, because we're in a pandemic. That's the other piece of it, right? We weren't seeing people live anymore. So I closed my office for almost a year during the pandemic, and I wasn't seeing my clients every week. Now you can imagine you're someone who is a practitioner like me. People come and see me regularly on a weekly basis, or at least every other week, right? And they get this work that helps them to remain embodied and healthy. Same for any other kind of practitioner in my line of work that helps people to maintain a sense of health in their life. Right now with the pandemic, of course, it's completely different because we couldn't see anyone. So that's why I shifted my whole program to be online. And even though online is not the same, it's still super helpful. Just like now, we can really connect. That's the whole purpose of me doing these, is that we can connect and stay in circle together. Thank you, Mano. I really appreciate your comments. Super helpful. Okay, I want to go a little bit further with this topic of what do we do when we're assaulted or confronted? So that was one scenario. That's something that happened to me, something that happened to Manon, might have happened to others on the call. The other piece of this is when you are living in a stressful environment at home. That's difficult because it might not happen to you socially outside. You might not be assaulted in this way outside, but because of the increase of stress, because of the increase of worry, anxiety, which I spoke about a couple of weeks ago on you can find these videos, by the way, on YouTube as well, at my channel, Art of Alignment Academy. And then you can see different topics that I've covered. So I love you too, Manon. Thank you. So we have these occurrences that happen in the world at large. Socially, we're out in the world. You might be in a confrontation that like the one that happened to me and to Manon recently. And then there are these confrontations and these environments where we live at home that are very stressful. Again, especially since the pandemic, and different parts of the world have responded differently to this. So if you are in a situation at home where you are constantly under stress, or the other thing that's occurred since the pandemic is that there has been, for a lot of people, many changes in the way that they're living. They're working from home more, and both partners or people or family members are working from home, which has inevitably increased the level of stress in people's lives, because we're human beings, right? We're dynamic. We are how we are. And when we are in close quarters with other human beings, that can become a source of incredible stress for people. So if you're in that situation at home where you are back and forth with your partner, your spouse, it could be your parents, it could be your siblings, it could be cousins. Here's the thing. The number one person in your life, the priority in your life must be you. And what do I mean by that? I mean that you have to take care of yourself first. You have to get into alignment. You have to bring yourself into a state of regulated space where your nervous system is functioning as healthily as it possibly can. And that means that you are sleeping properly. You're getting up at an adequate time, that you are eating the right foods, that you are moving your body, that you have some sort of contemplation, spiritual prayer, meditation. That meditation can be walking in the woods, but your lifestyle. See, here's the thing. We can no longer put our lifestyles on the back burner. We have to take action in terms of how we're going to live our lives in a healthy way. It's a different time. We can't wait for a magic pill, or we know that if we're a little bit off, we can, get a treatment and be better. These times are sort of over. We're now in a space where we need to take full responsibility for our lives, our lifestyle, and continue to increase the quality of life force that runs through us by taking daily action in maintaining health, in maintaining connection, in increasing the quality of our health. Because if you are living in an environment where the stress is super, super high, now for some people, they can't get out of that situation. They have to live in that situation, which is why I want you to take care of yourself first. Now, some of you may say, Anne-Marie, I have children. I can't take care of myself first. I tend to disagree. There's got to be a moment where you have the tools and the power to bring yourself into a space of alignment so that you do not lose your proverbial mind during the day with your children. And it's not the same situation for everyone, especially those of you who don't have young children and or either you live alone or with a spouse or with a roommate or something. I want you to start to look at your situation as how lucky you are, how fortunate, how blessed you are to be in that environment where you can actually take care of yourself. And taking care of yourself means really taking care of yourself. It means every morning you're plugging into something that ignites you, that is positive, that feeds your soul, your brain, your heart. Then you get to move. It doesn't have to be a whole hour of hardcore exercise. That's not what I'm talking about. Simply taking yourself for a walk, simply rolling, right, on your roller or on balls to, again, regulate and de-stress the nervous system. Very, very simple tools. There's no need to reinvent the wheel here. We know you've heard this, especially if you're on this call with me, if you're in this group, you've heard this. You've heard me talk about this, and you know what you need to do. If you're not doing it, why not? Why are you not putting yourself first? It's the same analogy as, when you're on the plane and they say, put your mask on first before helping someone else. It's the very same thing. So what is it? What is it that's going to make you do it? What is it that's going to make you put yourself first and really start to make incremental changes in your everyday life that is going to enliven you? So this has a lot to do also with how you communicate. If you communicate with yourself from a place of love and compassion, first and foremost, your nervous system is going to naturally regulate, and you're not going to be stressed or, I'll give you an example. You know how there's someone you might be living with or that's in your life, and they just have to say one thing and you're triggered. You just lose it. That's what I'm talking about. So the more you can regulate yourself, the more you can shift the way you communicate with non-violent language, the tendency is that you will be less available to be triggered. You're not going to buy into what this other person or people say to you that can send you through the roof. And believe me, I know, I used to be in a situation like that where, you're with your spouse or a partner or a friend and they say something and you lose it, or a sister. So the whole idea here is for you to put yourself first in the self-care department of personal love and compassion, personal forgiveness for whatever it is you need to forgive yourself about. Regulate your nervous system so that you're not so reactive when someone says something, and that you don't lose yourself in the reactivity. Does this make sense? If you're on the call, and it makes sense, give me a 1. Just put in 1 if what I'm saying makes sense, if you're relating to it. And if not, give me a 2. Or better yet, write a comment and let me know what it is that's not making sense to you. 1, thank you. Yesterday, I had a travel gaffe that almost left me stranded. It shocked me into an anxiety attack. This is mixed with a challenging home roommate situation. I know my nervous system is off. Yeah. Hey, Chelsea, thank you. Thank you, Anne-Marie, for sharing this. It makes sense. 1, thank you. I can't tell who wrote, yesterday I had a travel gaffe that almost left me stranded. It shocked me into anxiety attack. If you can just give me your name, it's helpful. I'd love to know who's writing this. Yeah, this is mixed with a challenging home roommate situation. I know my nervous system is off. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. If you want, Stephanie wrote it. Oh, hi, Stephanie Fitro, I'm guessing, is here. Hi, Stephanie. I'm sorry. For some reason, I'm not... Chelsea, I can see is here, but for some of you, I can't see your face. Facebook is not telling me who's here. Some other techie thing that I need to fix. Okay. Yeah, challenging home roommate situation. Okay, so I just want to share a few notes about that. I'm 30 minutes in. Thank you for your feedback, for letting me know this makes sense. Okay. Hi, yes. Oh, no, I was hiding. I'm sorry. Okay, go back to hiding. I'm not going to call you out. Thank you for sharing that. Listen, this is what I mean about taking care of yourself first. I know that these are not easy times. If you're living in an environment with a roommate that you can do something about. So sometimes, here's a distinction with what I mean between being able to do something about a situation and not being able to do something about a situation immediately. If you have a roommate, they're not family, they're not your spouse, they're not your girlfriend, boyfriend, I want you to start thinking outside of the box. I want you to expand your mind into starting to create ideas. Start to think about what might be possible for you in terms of moving out, having them move out. And you're going to say, and I've been through this before, right? With clients, this has come up before, and they'll say, Marie, I can't, it's too expensive. It's abusive. I'm afraid they're going to hurt me. All kinds of scenarios. Listen, you can do something about it. You can absolutely do something about it. You just have to shift your mindset around what's possible for you. Meaning, let's say right now I'm talking to you from this angle, right? You can see me frontal, right? I'm right in front of you. If I move here to this position, I'm looking at you from this side, right? Different perspective. Watch, I'm going to go on the other side. Oh, I'm looking at you from this perspective. Different line of vision. Okay. Now you're going to find this very funny. You're going to say, Anne-Marie, well, okay, this is kind of cute, but I'm not sure. Let me tell you about biointelligence, biological intelligence. Meaning, when you take your body and you put it in a different position and you view your room, your situation from this perspective, there is a different biointelligent conversation that arises in your body. I'm going to repeat that. For example, you have a roommate, terrible, your nervous system is off, you're clearly not well in that environment. You're going to take yourself out of that situation, out of your apartment, out of your room. You're going to go outside. You're going to go to the park. You're going to walk in nature, and you are going to ask for guidance. Please help me think about this in a different way. What is in my power to change? What can I change in this moment? I'm not saying that you're going to move out the next day. What I'm inviting you to consider, and this is not just for this situation, this is for everything in your life when you hit a wall. You must be able to integrate all of who you are as an intelligent human living being and explore possibilities to what is possible for you. Because if you feel stuck, that's an old pattern. That's an old belief that was imprinted upon you somewhere in your life. And you're still living through the lenses of when you were back there, when you learned that technique. Nobody is really stuck. There's always an option for you to look at a situation from a different perspective. Does that make sense? Give me a 1 if that makes sense in the feedback. I just want to make sure that what I'm sharing with you is starting to ignite some neurons in your mind. Does that make sense what I'm sharing? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so that's the practice. Remember, I'm going to go back to you saying thank you. I'm seeing a bunch of ones. So going back, right? If you're taking care of yourself every day, you're deciding, I'm going to drink something warm. I'm going to calm my nervous. I'm going to have a delicious cup of tea or hot water with lemon, hot water with lemon, hot water with lemon. Incredible detoxifier, right? Little simple things to start with that. Start to take care of yourself, to put yourself first, to regulate your nervous system. Because if you regulate your nervous system, inevitably, you're going to have a wider lens of vision, of clarification, of clarity. I'm going to read feedback. Sometimes when I freeze in surprising situations, freeze like a deer. Yes, it can be accompanied by a sense of self-blame for not being able to react the way I would have loved on the spot. Thank you. Or even anger. At home, it helps me to leave the place, good, and it shifts my vibration, excellent. Or if I stay in the same place, this week it happened, I decided to retreat into my silence to take a step back after I express my frustration. Beautiful. So if you're able to express your frustration in an elevated way, in a mature way, fantastic, right? So that you're not expressing your frustration by screaming. However, I want to go back here. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. When you freeze, it's like, what did they say? The headlights, right? Like in a deer, right? The lights, I forget the expression, but it's like that. Yes, you're like frozen. Okay, that's a normal reaction when you are in a state of anxiety or trauma or someone is attacking you for some reason. Now, I want to touch on the sense of self-blame for not being able to react the way I would have loved on the spot. Okay, what I'm asking you to practice is exactly for that, to move you out of the self-blame. If you start to practice with more consistency, getting in touch with yourself, right, it's going to diminish the level of self-blame. The more you self-love, the more you take care of yourself first, the more you practice that. So for example, when you start to self-blame, when it's, the mind starts to go, the negative self-talk starts to come in, and you start to blame yourself because you're not handling the situation well, this is when I want you to literally put your hands on your heart and say, it's okay, I forgive myself. I'm okay. I'm going to get through this. It's okay. I didn't handle this the best way I could this time, but I'm doing better every time. You have to nurture yourself, your heart. Literally put your hands on your heart and talk to yourself. You have to soothe the little child inside of you, because that's the one who gets angry. That's the one who comes out into a protective force. Like, hey, you can't talk to me that way. You can't do this, right? And then you feel guilty about not having handled it properly. My dear, you can't handle it properly if you have never been taught how to handle it properly. Most of us are not taught. So what we naturally do is we go into self-blame. We also go into shame because we feel uncomfortable. We feel not worthy, that we don't have the tools how to handle these types of situations. Can I tell you, in 30 years of practice as a coach and in holistic healing, 95, probably higher percentage of people do not know how to take care of themselves truly from a place of self-healing, to talk to yourself with love and kindness so that you can generate a sense of connection with yourself. By the way, you are all your own best healers, 100%. There's no better healer than yourself for yourself. And this is really important. This is why I want to do these, to remind you of who you are, to remind you that if you're blaming yourself, it's okay. That's a natural process. You can't be a certain way if you were never taught or encouraged or coached or supported. You don't become an Olympian athlete by training by yourself on a treadmill. It doesn't happen. You have all kinds of coaches behind you, right? To help you with your body, with your mindset, with your physicality, with your food, with your nutrition, with your sleep patterns. So please, please go easy. Shh. Go easy on yourself. And thank you. That's so helpful to have this feedback. And you're exactly right. So your healer came out, right? And then you said, it helps me to leave the place, go outside, because it shifts your vibration. 100%. See, that's the healer in you. So we have different parts of ourselves, right? We have different parts of us. So when we're attacked, like for me, when I was assaulted on the train, it wasn't my little girl that came out. It was like my fierce warrior, I'm going to beat the heck out of you, who came out. And that's okay, right? Like, I'm a mindfulness coach, right? I do holistic healing. And in that moment, I lost my cool. And what came out of me was like, girl, I can annihilate you. I can pop you in the head and really hurt you. That's what showed up for me. That's just point blank honest. So thank you for sharing about how you went into blame, because that's how we get to be better, is by recognizing the truth about who we are in those instances. So for me, when this girl pushed me, I wasn't all like, oh, kumbaya, compassionate, I'm so sorry, maybe something's wrong with you. No, I was angry. I wanted to pop her in the head, and I was ready to do it. And then here's the key. Here's the key to everything we've been sharing so far. The key is daily practice. To practice loving kindness to yourself every single day. Because why? when a situation like that occurs, where you move up and you put up your dukes and you're ready to fight, your habitual daily training will kick in. And instead of fighting back, your nervous system is going to light up and you're going to remember your daily practice. And instead of going into blame, shame, they're still going to appear. But how you respond to it is 100% different. Does that make sense? Let me know if this makes sense. Put a 1 if what I'm saying makes sense. There's also some research confirming that cold water face head risks can calm the nervous system. Yes, 100%. Yeah, cold baths, right? Well, this is the whole Wim Hof breath work. Thank you for the feedback. Helpful. Yeah, of course. Very good. Yes. So cold water, that I didn't express it in the most mindful way, to be honest. I forgive myself. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. So absolutely. If you have the chance to go in a cold tub, you can even put some cold water in your bathtub with some ice if you really want to go crazy. But you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It helps to regulate the nervous system. This is why in more and more gyms, like in New York, where I go to my gym, there's a jacuzzi and then there's a cold tub, right? The cold tub really helps to actually enliven your nervous system. So it's not so much that it calms it down in the same way, it enlivens it, it charges it. In a sense, it strengthens it. And when you are strong and empowered and healthy and breathing and there's life force moving through you, you tend to respond in a more emotionally intelligent and connected way, as opposed to reacting in the face of danger and wanting to beat somebody up or to say words that are hurtful. And I'll tell you, when I was on the train and this happened to me, I was so grateful, in hindsight. I was so grateful that I was able to pull myself together, because you know what I thought? I thought that I would feel infinitely worse if I had retaliated. If I had hit this person back after it all happened the next day, I would have felt terrible. You know why? Because I don't want to hurt someone else. You don't want to hurt someone else. People who hurt people don't want to hurt someone else. But people have different levels of being able to manage stress and fear and pain and anxiety in their lives. The fact that you're here with me today is really awesome. I really appreciate you, because you're doing something in this type of space to help you intake information. So I'm sharing information with you, but what's really helpful to me is when you communicate with me this way, because then you get a chance to express yourself and how you're feeling. And that's a big part of the healing process, to be able to say, I did something, I'm not proud of myself, I should have handled it better. And that's it. To not make more out of not being the way you might have or should have handled the situation. Do you see what I mean? We don't want to augment things more than they are. It's just what it is. And then what we do is we go back to our self-care, to our nurturance, to our daily practice, getting up in the morning, hot water with lemon, doing a quiet meditation, put in some inspiring music, something that soothes you, get your preferred meditation app, whatever. But just take some time for you, because the more you practice that, when the next situation occurs, for example, with the roommate, if there's a confrontation, you're going to see that you are better equipped to handle it in a more productive and mature way. And sometimes a more productive and mature way is to simply walk away. Do not negate the power of walking away. Just leave the room. Don't stay in the fire line, in the pathway of toxic energy. Just don't do it. Walk away. You don't have to stay in that area, no matter who it is. Manon says, last year when this woman was screaming, I yelled back, yes, madame, I love you too. I am sending you so much love. I think she was troubled. Yeah. Yeah. Excellent point, Manon. So here's the other thing. You kill them with kindness. You kill them with compassion, meaning not literally killing them, but metaphorically, right? Because when you respond to people with compassion and an open heart, in most situations, you completely disarm them. They don't expect you to be kind. They expect you to respond back aggressively so that they can get more and more into the energy of fighting. But if you're not fighting, see, this is the beauty of this work. If you can get yourself to a neutral midline, right? You are aware of what's going on around you. Then instead of retaliating, you can just say something like what Manon said. You said, yeah, it's okay. I love you too. I love you too. I'm sorry you're having a bad day. And then you walk away. And then the person that's having a fight with you, 9 times out of 10, is like stunned. They're like, what they'll say, and you will notice this is true. What they'll say is that they'll say, oh my God, she's crazy. You, the one who said, I loved you, and you walk away. Usually the other person will say, oh my God, this woman's crazy. Okay, I'd rather be crazy that way and tell someone else, got it, no problem. Or, someone sometimes it happens, right? People will push you. They try to get ahead of you. If you're driving, God knows in New York, it happens all the time. People cut. They're going so fast. And for me, I'm just laughing now. I'm just like, where are you going? Because here's the other thing. 9.9 times out of 10, if I'm driving and somebody's cutting me like this, eventually, you know what happens eventually? And I know you've experienced this. You're going to get to the red light and they're right there next to you. Who's had that experience? Give me a heads up. Give me a thumbs up, a 1 in the comments if you've had that experience driving, right? You're rushing. This person is cutting you, very unsafe driving, right? And then you end up at the red light and there's the person next to you who's been cutting you the whole way. Told her, you need love, madame. I wish you so much love. Exactly. Thank you, Manon. That's exactly right. Question, what can you recommend regarding changing negative thinking, neural pathways? Thank you for the question. Yeah. So I'm going to go back to what I was sharing, Chelsea, in reference to creating new neural pathways, right? So neural pathways, literally what happens in the brain, right? It's kind of like creating a new groove. So imagine that you are on land and it's not a forest, but it could be a forest, right? But you want to clear out a space. So in order for you to clear out that space, literally on land, you have to probably, unfortunately, cut down some trees, right? You have to tend to the soil. It's pretty much the same way with your neural pathways. You have to start practicing different thinking patterns, number 1. So here's how I do it in my work and why I'm suggesting that you change certain actions that you take. And I know you have been, you shared with me about how you're doing a lot of new things in your life to establish more health in terms of herbs and supplements and stuff that you're taking, Chelsea. So here's the thing. Negative thinking, it's just a pattern. It's just an habituation. So you're habituated. You're used to thinking in a certain way. But here's the thing. It's not because you are thinking in that way. It's not you. You think it's you because they keep coming up. It's not you. It's your past. It's what you've heard. It's what you've been told. It's been your experiences that have brought you to this place today where you are still in a state of processing, right? So the patterns, the negative self-thinking, the negative thinking rather, is a pattern that keeps showing up in your life from what's occurred in your past, and you think that they are your negative self-thoughts. Number 1, they are not yours. They are a repetitive motion of thinking that keeps coming to the forefront, and they keep coming up, and you keep going, I mean you in general, we keep going like, well, why am I thinking this? Like, why is this showing up? Okay, number one, asking the question, why am I thinking this way, is not helpful, because there's no answer to that. Why? Well, because that's what you were introduced to, that's what you were experienced, that's what you were told when you were a tiny little peanut, and it's part of your connective tissue now. It's part of what you believe is true, but it's not true, right? So you want to start to shift, and here's a really helpful tool. Chelsea, everyone who's here, right? So as soon as you have a negative pattern, I want a negative thought, I want you to say the word change. Change. Interrupt your pattern. So you're going through your day, you're chopping vegetables, something's happening, and then, oh my God, this thing about this repetitive pattern that shows up. I'm afraid that this is going to happen, or I'm afraid that he's going to lose it, or that she's going to lose it, or I'm afraid that they're not going to make it home, or whatever shows up. In the moment, interrupt your pattern and say the word out loud, change. Practice doing that. And in the moment, when you say change, I want you to think about something pleasant. Think about something that you love. It could be cutting vegetables. Maybe you love cutting vegetables. I do. I love preparing a meal. So and this happened to me yesterday, so it's a really on point question, right? So I'm at home, I'm working, whatever, and some thought shows up in my mind from the past. Of course, it's usually something from the past, right? That I'm still working out in my own life. So a negative thought came up about a certain person, and I caught it, and I said to myself right in that moment, change. And then I laughed and I said, okay, change. So now I have to make myself think about something that's better. And do you know what I thought about? I immediately said change, and I went, right, I'm so grateful for my home. I love my home. I'm safe here. I love my neighborhood. I love my neighbors. I'm safe. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then that brought me into another action that continued to continue my day in a way that was more positive, that was more enlightening, that was more open. Okay, give me a 1 if that makes sense, and if you feel it's possible for you. I have to leave early today. Thank you. I will rewatch later. Yeah, you're welcome, sweetie. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Would writing with a non-dominant way could be a way to change neural pathways and give access to new patterns in the unconscious? Yeah, 100%, Sabi. Thank you, 111. So this is making sense. Hold on. I noticed having more anxiety driving lately, out of practice and worries. Yeah. Right. So this is a very good point. Thank you. 1 makes sense. Love you. Good. Yeah. So 2 things. I'm going to come back to your comments, Sabi. Thank you for saying that. So just to recapitulation, just to repeat what I just said. So as soon as a negative thought comes in, catch it and say the word change, and then change your thought to something positive, something that you love. You could decide that you're going to go hug your kitty cat or your dog. Okay, change, interrupt the pattern. Very, very simple technique. Now, Sabi here, who is, by the way, is on the call. She just graduated from, not just last year, graduated from the Creative Leadership Coaching Program. And Sabi is usually, she shows up on these calls and she's super helpful, super bright, super sharp, and graduated from the program that we did together during COVID, right? Remember I said I had to shut down my office for a year. So I turned around and I created an online program to teach these methods, these tools, so that the people who were in the course could actually become coaches and start to use these. And that's exactly what Sabi is doing right now. So thank you, Sabi. I appreciate your comment. Would writing with a non-dominant way, non-dominant hand, could be a way to change neural pathways and give access to new patterns in the unconscious? Yes. Thank you, Sabi. So what Sabi is doing there with her comment is she is actually taking this moment that I'm sharing with you as a teaching moment, and she's supporting me as a coach And she's coming back and asking a question that she knows the answer to, but she's bringing up the question in the group as a means to assist us all in offering a different tool. See how that works? Thank you, Sabi. That is absolutely wonderful. And I see you, I hear you, and I really appreciate you writing that comment. You're welcome, sweetie. I'm glad that's practical for you. Okay, so yes, another way to change negative thoughts, to change patterns, is exactly what Sabi is saying. Do things differently. So if you write with your right hand, you can write with your left hand. If you brush your teeth with your right hand, you can brush your teeth with your left hand. You start to change the way you do things physically to create those same new neural pathways in your brain. The same thing like clearing out an area of a field or a forest. That's exactly correct. So essentially, what we're saying here is that the best way to change anything about you, especially when it comes to negative self-talk or anxiety, is to change the way you physically do things. You're in a confrontation at home. You say, I'm sorry, I gotta leave. You get out and you go take a walk in the park, around the block, whatever. You are trying to get rid of negative self-thinking or thoughts during the day. You find yourself stuck with them. Go and start drawing with your opposite or the hand that is not your dominant hand. You draw, you write, you start to listen to different type of music. You want to do something different physically, as Sabi is suggesting, to help you create new neural pathways. The same thing that I was saying is what Sabi is suggesting. You interrupt the pattern of your regular way of being, of thinking. Does that make sense? Thank you so much. This is great. Okay, beautiful. It's 12 noon. Oh my God. It's been a full hour. Thank you so much for being here. I am going to upload this recording, and what I'd like to ask, I have an ask from you. Okay, another way to help yourselves move through any type of tension, anxiety, because when you have tension, anxiety, or you get into these confrontational situations in your life, a lot of the time what happens is we tend to isolate and we go back on our own and we forget to ask for help. So I am going to model asking for help. If you know anyone in your life who might be interested in joining this type of circles, and I'm asking you because you are my people, right, on this group page, if you know anyone who might be interested, who might benefit, who might want to offer some insight, please invite them. Ask them to join the Creative Leadership Coaching Facebook group. They're going to make a request and I'm going to check who they are, and then I invite them into the group. Okay, and let them know if they want to join that you referred them. My friend referred me, or said you referred me, or Chelsea referred me. Anybody who you think might benefit from these, please invite them to join our group. I'm keeping it private, even though there's about 250 people on here. I'm still keeping the group private because I want people who are interested in this to join, not just anybody at large, but people who might benefit from being in our group. Thank you for being here. Much love. Thank you for your fabulous comments. I really appreciate you. And I hope to see you next week, same place, same time. Look out for my video newsletter. Comes out Wednesday morning, or it was Thursday morning last week, but because I was in that confrontation, I kind of lost my timing, but I'm back on. So it's a perfect model of being imperfect. Don't be afraid to be imperfect. I love you. Mwah. Thank you. See you next week. Bye.